Today we are going to do a running stitch of a heart shape. So to begin, our first step is to take our pencils and to trace around the heart stencil. But you might notice that the heart stencil also has some tiny little black dots around it. Next to each dot, I'm going to make a dot on my red paper all the way around. This is going to be where we need to poke little holes into our paper so that we can stitch through our red paper. There might be 18, 19, maybe 20 little spots. You can see them all on my paper. My next step is to put the cardboard underneath the red paper, and we are safely taking one of these thumbtacks and poking onto each dot all the way around the heart. You can hear it as it's poking in. I'm making sure my other hand is far away. I know that I have to shift my red paper a little bit because on this side it's not on that cardboard, so I'm going to pick it up. When you are all done poking these holes, you're going to turn in your cardboard and your thumbtack just like this to the store counter. At the store counter, you're going to pick a color of yarn to use for the stitching. I have already tied the string, the yarn, onto the eye of the needle. The eye is that open-ended part. So once you're done poking your holes, you're shopping for your yarn, and then we're going to freeze for step 2. Once we all are ready, we are going to start to stitch. To stitch, this pencil side of our heart is actually going to be the back side, and that's where we're going to start. I'm going to start at the very tip of my heart by poking my needle down. Sometimes I'm going to call this paper my pool. So that means I am diving down into the water of my pool. And the important part of stitching is we have to pull and pull and pull this yarn every time we stitch through a hole. I have a tiny tail. I'm actually going to tape it. And notice how I'm taping it away from the heart shape. And I'm taping that tiny tail so that I can start to stitch through my next hole and this won't come out. Now I'm going to go up in the water. So this is my nice side where I don't see my pencil lines. I'm going up, and my pattern for our running stitch, pull, 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 is to dive down the next hole and pull till I can't pull anymore. And now I'm going to dive up. So I'm going on the other side to poke my needle up. So my pattern is to go up and pull and down and pull. Up to the next hole and pull. And then I'm going to dive down and pull. We're going to work our way all the way around our heart. It's going to look like a dotted line. If you notice this one, this is my pencil side with the tape. My nice side is looking good. For those of you who finish that running stitch fast, I'm going to have you continue, but we're going to do opposites. So right here where I don't see yarn, I'm going to dive down so I can see some yarn. So I dive down and I pull. And then my next hole right here, I'm going to go up and pull and dive down and pull. And this way I'm still doing that running stitch. Up, down, but I'm doing it so I'm covering my entire heart. Now I won't just have a dotted line, I'll have a solid line for my heart shape so it really stands out. Once you are done with your running stitch all the way around the heart, we're going to tape the tail to the back. So when we tape the tail, we'll meet it right at the beginning and we'll just get another piece of tiny tape. At that point, I'm going to have you guys pretend that I finished. I would cut my needle off. That means I'm cutting it right here off my yarn. Mrs. Cleary will collect those needles, and then that tail will be taped down. So pretend that I have gone all the way around and I have a solid line all the way around my heart. Our next step is to go to the store counter and do a little printing. So this is step 3 of our project. At the store counter, there are some different heart stampers. Some of them look like this, and some of them look like this. I'm going to dip this stamper, and I can even hold it from the tip of this heart. I'm going to dip it in a little pile of paint. There'll be black paint and white paint. And I'm going to use this as a stamper and putting it down on my red paper, not shifting it, and kind of gently pushing. A print might not have a perfect heart shape. Prints sometimes might have pieces missing, and that's okay. It's still beautiful. You get to design how many stamps or prints of hearts you want to make. I kind of like how I space those out. There's 3 different ones. I'm going to try this stamper. These are a little bit trickier. I'm going to roll it or rub it into that black paint, and I'm going to peek at it that I have paint all over that heart. Because the clothespin that it's on is only at one point, when I put it on my paper, I kind of have to use my fingers and push on the sides to make sure I have the whole, it's stuck on there, heart put on there. I'm not going to get any more paint. I'm going to see if it will stamp nicely without getting more. So I'm using my fingers to kind of push the rest of that heart shape down. Ooh, that one looks really nice. My fingers had a little paint on there, so I have a little oops. I'm going to cover that little oops up with a heart. Accidents happen. We can always fix them. And I'm going to go to the other side and kind of do the same thing. Because we're using paint today, when we're all done, we need to put these in the drying rack. I'm going to make this nice and symmetrical so it looks the same on both sides. That's just the way I like to do my stamps. And I'm all done. It's going in the drying rack.